Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a special homing guide video to 1415 from 1370. As you can see behind me, I have been homing and also trying to get close to 1415, and there have been many attempts of failures and also successes. And you can notice something behind me is that I'm actually trying to home beyond plus 16, and you actually get a lot of item level by doing this. So if you come over to our notes over here, I have decided to make a summary between 1370 to 1385 to 1400 and also to 1415. What are the best method? When should you use the radar materials, and how do you get the best value out of it? And the special point for 1415 is that we get 2.5 item level per upgrade after plus 15 instead of 0.38 before that. So this is a big plus, and this is actually faster than getting to 1400 actually. I'll be sharing those methods with you guys as well. And what I want to do is I want to give you guys some additional notes and also some additional tips about how much fees and also additional costs it will be costing you to home with those materials. And what the best thing about today's video is we do have the latest updated Excel guide from Challia, and he has made it so wonderful up to plus 20 now. And one thing to highlight is you can look at the raw material cost, because as you guys know, when we go to upgrade items, you can see that here the weapon to get to plus 13 will cost 333 gold, and over here plus 17 to plus 18 is 280 gold. So he has already added those to the Excel, which allows us to have a better calculation and also estimation of the cost of each of the upgrade and prepare those materials ahead of time. So this video will be broken down into about two parts. The first part is I want to show you guys the latest Excel about the values and all the functions that's related to the Excel. So you can be using Excel to calculate and also to know when to use your materials and how to get the best value with each of the upgrade. After that, we'll briefly talk about each of the process between 1370, 1385 to 1400, and finally to 1415, which will be a big highlight to prepare us for Valton. And I'm very close to it. So what I want to show you guys is over here, I'm about 3 successes away from achieving 1415. And those methods have been working for me. You can see I have a plus 17 gloves and also have a plus 17 shoulder. So I'm very close away. I just need to get my items to plus 12 now to be 1415, and I'll be Valton ready. Now coming over to the latest updated Excel from Challia. Very big thank you to him for updating this, and he has added a lot of features along the way. We have discussed about different features of expected cost and target values. So we have talked about this in the previous video, but I'll briefly talk about this as well. Now if you guys haven't tried this Excel before, do come over to files and make a copy, and this is how you can use Excel. What you want to do is you want to input the market price of your items from your server into the green bars over here, and this will calculate for you the cost of homing. And you also want to input the Mario Secret Shop prices for more accurate calculation if you buy items from the Mario Secret Shop. And over here you can select whether you're buying those items from the market, from the Mario Secret Shop. And for me, I'm buying the stones from the market. I'm actually not buying my honor shards. I'm buying honor shards from Mario Secret Shop. I'm actually buying my lipstones from Mario Secret Shop as well. I'm buying my future material from the market, and also I'm buying my enhancement materials, which will be the Solar Grace, Solar Blessing, Solar Protection from the Mario Secret Shop. And over here, I have selected the maximum usage of those homing materials. What you're going to notice is, I'll zoom in a little bit. You can notice that from plus 7 to plus 11, you only need 12 Solar Grace, and maximum you can use that. But once you get to plus 12 to plus 17, you can use up to 24 Solar Grace, because the bonus rate will be reducing. And finally, from plus 18 to plus 20, you will cost 36 Solar Grace for the bonus rate, which is actually really low. It's about 3% maximum. So we'll talk about this in the future. Right now, the biggest goal is to get to plus 17. Now, once you have input those values in and also selected the ways you're getting homing materials, you can see the comparison of the weapons and also armor efficiency up to plus 20. Just to give you guys a highlight, the expected costs over here are the cost of the homing items you're buying from the market or from the Mario Secret Shop. Now, if you're not paying for those items, you can unclick this, but usually there's opportunity cost because the homing materials you use are tradable. So usually those are considered from the market. And also the second bar over here are the expected cost of the homing cost for the fees. So what I mean by over here is, let's say if we come over here and we're upgrading for, this will cost me 280 gold, and this might take me 7 times to home. And over here are the expected cost of the fees for those particular homing costs, because the probability will consider that as well. And this will be comparing with the expected enhancement cost by using the radar materials. If the bars over here are green, that means it's actually cheaper with your selected choice. If the bars are red, means it is actually more expensive to use the radar materials, and you might want to not use the radar materials. And generally speaking, what I try to do is, I try to find where the red is lower or the green is bigger to use my homing materials. And if I have the spare untradable materials, I will still be using them for my further upgrade. And this is when I want to come over here to show you guys the step-by-step process for each of the steps. Now, before we come over to the step process, I do want to talk about the expected calculator cost. So this was my items, one was 1,400. I'll zoom in a little bit. We have talked about this in the previous video. I'll link the video for you guys as well. So this is what I was on when I was 1,400. Those are my gear levels. And here are my next goal of gear levels. This is actually really nice because it allows you to play around your gear level, and you can see by moving around how much item level you'll be gaining each time you get an upgrade. And the biggest factor is between plus 15 to plus 16, you actually get 2.5 item level, which is massive because this is one of the tricks we'll get to 1,415 very fast. Now, if you guys are finding yourself short on homing materials, silver or gold, I do have some additional guides and also tips over here I want to link to you guys. So scroll down to the end of this particular post. I'll also have this attached in the description as well to help you guys find the additional silver, additional gold, or additional homing materials, and also tips before 1,370 and what to do after 1,370 for more value and also more resource. Now, coming over to a notes of the homing guide. What I do recommend is, although the Excel calculator is very nice, I don't think we consider the usage of silver. What I recommend is to have at least 1 to 2 million silver for each of the phase. Let's say if you're on the first phase, second phase, or the third phase. I do believe the third phase will cost about 2 to 3 million silver, which we'll talk about very soon. So those are the silver costs additional to the gold cost. Now, we have talked about this quite a bit before, and we do know, which part of the Agros dungeon this unlocks. So what I really want to focus on is about how to use your radar materials. Now, for the weapons, notice how in the homing calculator over here, most of the weapons are showing those are green. So what that means is, it is actually much cheaper to use both tradable or untradable solar grace, solar blessing, or solar protection for your weapons to get to plus 9 and also go beyond that. So pretty much to get weapon to plus 11, you can be using both tradable and also untradable radar materials for the weapon. And by the Excel calculation, it is cheaper. Now, as for the armor upgrade, if we come over to the Excel, I keep clicking the wrong one. So you can see the armor upgrade, initially, it is actually cheaper to use the radar materials to plus 11, which are untradable. So this is my recommendation to use the armor upgrade. Now, once we have gotten the weapon to plus 9, plus 10, or even plus 11, which I would recommend to stop at plus 11, after that, the spare untradable radar materials from the Mario Secret Shop can be used to home the armor. And basically, when we come over to the upgrade, we'll be using the radar materials. I actually have a lot of lipstones to show you guys the radar materials, and I actually used all my radar materials. So you can see I'm out of radar materials because I've been trying to upgrade. Now, one question I do have is, what if you use the radar materials from the market? So let's say if I'm buying the radar materials from the market which are tradable, what you come over here is you click this button and this will adjust the cost. So notice that it is about 600 to 700 more costly to use the radar materials from the market which are tradable. But this is still acceptable up to plus 11, because beyond plus 11, you are spending 5,000 additional gold or even 20,000 additional gold if you're buying those tradable materials, simply because the bonus rate of those materials will be reducing as you go for higher levels. And this is my recommendation. If you do want to use the tradable ones, it is the best that you use them until plus 11, because this only costs 5 to 800 additional gold by the calculator. Now, once we come over to 1,385 to 1,400, what I do recommend is having a look at the new trick of upgrading different selective materials. So we'll leave the weapon and also some pieces of the armor on plus 11. We upgrade the rest of the items to plus 14, which I selected for the gloves and also for the shoulder. So my shoulder was plus 13 and also my glove was plus 14, because I actually got my weapon to plus 12, which is a waste of lipstone, right? So if you do want additional notes on this one, I recommend coming over to this previous video guide, which I'll talk about this in more detail, because both of those tricks work for 1,400 and also this works for 1,450 415. And this is a very good saving trick, because this will also give us additional damage after getting over to plus 16. Now, as for the choice of using the radar materials, it is still recommended to use any of the untradable ones or the tradable ones to get the weapon to plus 11 for 1400. After that, we'll be getting 3 pieces of the gear to plus 11, and then we'll be getting 2 pieces of the gear to plus 14. Now, what I went for is, for the highest damage, I went for plus 14 on gloves and also shoulders. What I do recommend is, if we come over to basically the Excel over here. So what we're trying to do is, we're trying to get the gloves and also shoulders to plus 14. Now notice that if you use the tradable ones, you're costing more gold. This will cost 5,000 more gold, and it is not that worth it to use the tradable ones. I do recommend using the untradable radar materials if you have any from the Mario Secret Shop. And this still costs you some additional gold, but this only costs 2,000 gold extra. What is recommended by the Excel is that we actually simply buy the Guardian Stones, buy the Lipstones even. It is still cheaper than using the radar materials, which are tradable. Because you sell the radar materials, you buy the base materials, and you home more times this way, which is still cheaper. Now, the downside of not buying the radar materials is that you'll be using more lipstones, and if you don't plan to buy the lipstones, this will delay your progress a little bit, but you'll be saving more gold on the process. Because let me show you guys over here. So what I mean by that is, if you just use your lipstones and also your stones, this is the cost of upgrading to plus 12, which is about 5,000 expected cost. But if you use the radar materials, this will cost at least 7,000 or even 9,000. So this is the comparison of those two values, which is minus 2,000 gold. And over here, I have outlined the process of what I did, and this is by far the cheapest method. Now, if you guys do want to test cheaper method yourself, what you can do is you can be playing around with this calculator over here to see which of the method is cheaper for you, depending on your market value. We do have a video on guiding how to use this calculator, so I don't want to go into too much, but I'll link the video for you guys for this one. Now finally, coming over to the biggest highlight and also the newest addition to the homing method. And this will be for 1400 to 1415. And this will be making us for Velton ready for the normal phase. Now, to be honest, it was to my surprise, this was actually surprisingly slightly easier than getting to 1400 up to 1415. Now, to be honest, I haven't got there yet, but I can see this is quicker, simply because for the plus 16 and also plus 17 method, we get 2.5 item level instead of 0.83 item level once you go beyond plus 15. And this means you're getting 3 times the item level at the 10% success rate. Now, this might not seem to be a big deal initially, but this is a much bigger jump. So if I come over to my videos, what I want to show you guys is thing. So this is when I was starting to home. So once I got to plus 15, this is what I got. So let me show you guys. I was comparing each of the step, right? So let me have a look over here. So basically, once I got 1 item to plus 15, this only gave me 0.83. But once I get 1 item to plus 16, let me show you guys over here. So yes, once I get 1 item to plus 16, this gave me 2.5 item level, which is a very big jump. And again, once I get 1 item to plus 17, this gave me another 2.5 item level. So in reality, if we do this for 2 pieces, we're actually saving about how many times? So this is about, let me do a quick calculation. So basically we're doing 4 homing, which is the value of, it's 3 times the item level. So 4 homing equals to 12 homing. Basically, this is giving us additional item level, but the rate is 10%. Now, of course, this is still cheaper because of the amount of lipstones we're using, and also the additional homing gold is, in comparison to the gain of item level, this is much faster. So I still do recommend coming over to this video to see the explanation, what I mean by getting to plus 17 and also plus 16. Now, in this moment, I do recommend leaving the weapon on plus 11. Unfortunately for myself, I didn't know this method, and I was trying to get weapon to plus 12 very early stage of the game, and it actually cost me a lot of lipstones. Simply because if you come over here, you have a look at the weapon to plus 13 will cost me 18 lipstones. And over here, you can see the weapon to plus 12 only costs 12 lipstones, and even to plus 17 to plus 18 for armor only costs 16 lipstones. So the weapon is the one that with the highest cost, and by leaving the weapon on plus 11, this is the cheapest method. Now at this point, as we try to get armor to plus 17, I strongly do recommend only using the untradable materials for armor. So what I mean by over here is if we come over to the Excel, so here we're aiming for plus 15 to plus 17. Notice the cost, even using the untradable materials, this will cost us about 3,000 gold to 2,400 gold additional, just using the untradable Maori Secret Shop radar materials. Now, if you use the tradable materials, you're going to see the cost skyrocketing over here because, so notice that, 14, 15, 17, it's about 5,000 gold, 7,000 gold additional cost. So this is one of the reasons I have not been using my tradable ones. I have been selling all my tradable radar materials for gold. And this is one of the reasons I have more gold, right? So you can see the gold over here. I don't use those, and this saves a ton of gold. So the combination of not using tradable radar materials and also doing the correct homing method will take me the fastest to 1,415. Now the standard way, of course, is to get all the pieces of gear to plus 15 normally, and this would not take us, any faster, and this is actually more costly. We also compare the cost for this one on this video. I think this will cost at least a few thousand or even over 10,000 more gold by doing the old traditional method. And as to which pieces of gears to upgrade, I still recommend going for the gloves and also shoulders for the DPS class, and going for the pants or the chest for the supporting class if you do want to get more tanky. We have talked about this before, so I won't, go into this too much. One of the things I do want to share with you guys is the cost of homing between 1,400 to 1,415, and the biggest cost will be the silver cost. You're expected to have at least 2 to 3 million silver ready because of the homing cost. So what I mean by that is, notice that to get to plus 11 to plus 12, this will cost me 25,000 silver and 170 gold. And from 17 beyond, this will cost a lot of silver and gold. And this is not just one time, because you expect it to fail many times as we don't use homing radars, right? Because we're not using the tradable homing materials, we expect it to fail multiple times. And I do believe from plus 11 at 15% level, we expect to fail 5 times. And because of that, those silver costs and gold costs will rack up. What I do recommend is to prepare at least about 2 or 3 million silver for this stage and about 5,000 gold just for the homing fees. Now, before we finish the video, I also want to share you guys something about the opposite method of the cheapest and also the fastest method. I have seen some players with a very shiny and also very beautiful glow weapon, because instead of doing the cheapest method or the fastest method, some players are trying to get weapon to plus 20 and get gloves to plus 14 and shoulders and 11 on everything. So this is the highest damage method to get to 1,415. So weapon plus 20, 14 plus gloves, shoulder plus 12, and 11 on everything. And a lot of players are doing plus 20 on weapons and plus 12 on everything. And this does give them higher damage, I have to say. The damage they have is about, how many times? They're about 25% more damage than me. Because if you look at my damage, I'm close to 1,415 and my attack power is not very high. I believe those method of homing, the attack power is over 21,000 or 22,000 with getting weapon to plus 20. Now, this is extremely costly. I do not recommend this unless you guys have a lot of gold and want to just have the beautiful homing glow and more damage. But the cost for this one, just let me show you guys the difference over here. So let's go over here. We'll do a quick example over here. Let's say if I'm over here, if I get my weapon, so this is the gold cost. Let's say we remember this number, 120,000. So if we get the weapon to plus 20, the cost over here is 438,000 gold. So between plus 12 weapon to plus 20 weapon, the expected cost in gold is ridiculous. So just so you guys are aware, I thought it's something fun to share, right? So this is not what I recommend. This is the opposite method. Now, hopefully you guys like this video. I do try to make a little concise, but I usually try to explain too many things. And this is a summarized video between everything we learned for homing for 1,370 up to 1,415. And you can see with my progress, I'm slowly testing those methods. So I'm not just telling you the method, I'm not doing this myself, right? So you can say plus 17 on the gloves and plus 17 on the shoulder. Everything else will go to plus 12. And this is by far the cheapest method from 1,370 to 1,415, and those are the step-by-step process. So it is recommended to try this out, and I do recommend putting your own values on your server to see which is the cheapest method for you, and also what are the combination of homing choices you can make to get the cheapest and also the lowest cost. Yeah, going weapon plus 12 is going weapon from 12 to 20 is going to be ridiculously expensive. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure you do so. because we'll be getting a lot of guides, a lot of tips as I discover them, and I love the game. So I want to share as much as I can with you guys, and let's have a great time in Lost Ark as we explore this game and get the most out of it.